another episode of Couch Coaches, the show that talks about the Warriors and rugby league in general, as we are genuinely lovers of the great game. I'm your host, John Lazaron, and I'm joined by my good friend, Richard, the bandwagon conductor Laddie. Richard, this was supposed to be the moment where I say to you, the Warriors' last-ditch effort to the finals has begun because they beat the Canberra Raiders. Nick Minute, yeah, that game. Wow. How are you going? And and what do you think about Friday night's game?
Oh, bro, yeah, it was a tough one, eh? It's been a season of tough ones. So we looked through before. There've been 7 games this season where we've lost by I think 4 or less points. I think and it's obviously going to be what the season's decided on. I actually was putting my daughter to sleep and fell asleep. Woke up about 20 past 10. I was like, oh gosh, so sort of slowly shuffled out of the bed and got the thing on and 14-0. I was like, oh, here we go. And
is that when you woke
out?
Was that the first point?
Yeah.
Oh, was that the first point where you were? Oh, wow, that would have been a bit of a shock.
Yeah. So I was like, oh god, and I'd been sort of talking up to the syndicate all day, like the Warriors. They were paying 2 or 10. I was like, this is the bit of the century. I was like, they're on their way back. It's starting to get back. The fitness. As far as all the players coming back from injuries. But no, it wasn't to be. It hurt. Yeah, especially staying up till midnight to watch it. You're just like, oh boys. But no, we weren't good enough. And obviously, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the kick. It probably should have been hit, but the game wasn't what. Yeah, it
wasn't lost.
It
wasn't. It wasn't lost purely there.
And I would have been struggling to back ourselves some golden point just the way we were playing. We just sort of, I think we sort of exerted so much energy getting back into the game that we just sort of, and we obviously still without Sean Johnson there, we do lack a golden point sort of a field goal option in the team, especially with sort of Tuapiki out as well and Pompey out didn't help. 2 guys we know that can sort of kick the ball. So. Yeah, it was a tough one, but and then you watched the Penrith game on Sunday night where Cleary smashes a 43 meter field goal and extra time. You're like, oh, wouldn't mind having something like that in my team, but nah. I mean, I always loved the Warriors and all that, but it was a really hard one to take that one.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was really hard to take in. Like you didn't obviously when you're saying that you woke up 20 minutes into the game and you see it's 14-0, you didn't miss much, mate. Honestly, because it was really frustrating to see. And as a diehard Warriors fan, and I know there are many out there, even the bandwagoners, they would have been ripping their hairs out because of the way they've been acting and the season. But it was just. I just can't explain the feeling because against the Bulldogs, for example, when we lost that game, but because we lost the game and the way it was lost, we should have won it and it was unfair on the Warriors, etc. And the fact that the Warriors had showed so much mana to get them to stay in that game, especially when they were they lost 3 players, outside backs, and they didn't really have anyone to cover. That left a really I don't know how to explain, but there was like a big turning in my stomach. I could physically feel my stomach turning because I was so indulged in that game. But in this game, I was just frustration. It's like, I can't believe this. It's like you don't know what Warriors team is going to turn up sometimes, don't you? And on the game, they've got the same personnel, the great players out there, but you just don't know what team is going to turn up because they started so slowly. It was some really mediocre defense and stuff, and it's just I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not even, you don't know what team's going to show up on the day. You can have 2 or 3 teams show up on the same day, like we saw, It was obviously a very, really bad start, just letting a couple of soft tries, and they fought hard. Obviously, once again, our outside backs can't catch a break at the moment, can they? With Tuapiki going off pretty early, I think about 11th minute, I think it was. And then Pompey towards the end of the first half and the reshuffling again. So shout out to Capewell, for example. I mean, he got put out to the centres again. I thought he had an absolute huge game backing up. Both him and Barnett were immense backing up from Origin.
Yeah.
How good was Origin as well? Just a little side note, John. How'd you feel about that game?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah. I was hoping you'd have forgotten. I thought you would have forgotten already, but no, it was
I sort of sneaky little thing. It was one of the great Origin games of all time. Honestly, like that was just that first half was just and so intense.
Yeah,
so the physicality of it, eh?
I mean, I agree with you there with the physicality. I didn't think it was, to be honest, I thought it was a bit of a crappy game, to be honest. But you're right about the physicality. No, it's not because we lost. It's because I agree with you. There was the physicality of it, but it's just because I just thought the Queensland looked out of sorts. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not having a dig at New South Wales because they look good, but Queensland were out of sorts, but they still managed to stay in the game, and I just think they were just consumed too much energy, and New South Wales had too much for them because in that game, for example, in the second game, Moses, he had a blinder, but I thought he was pretty ordinary in this game until towards the end, the last quarter of the game. That's when he started doing something. But throughout the game, he wasn't doing much there. I thought Catewell had a good game. For an Origin as well, and Barnett. And even though I'm not a New South Wales supporter, I was really happy to see Barnett, do really well and see the excitement on his face and stuff. And it's awesome to see. It was awesome to see. But yeah, no, we were outplayed. I can solely admit that. Embarrassed myself about that. On the show because I pretty much laid it out to you and said, how you feel. You're gonna lose, mate. Didn't happen, but sometimes you got to give teams that don't really win a lot something. So that's all I'm going to say to that. But
give the Warriors something now, eh?
Yeah, just give the Warriors something. But I was just thinking before we started this show. Well, what are some of the good takes we can take from this game? And I mean, I honestly thought Capewell was amazing. Like you said, backing up from Origin and Barnett as well. But I thought he had a great game, Capewell, and playing out of position. And I think he did better on attack. I think what Capewell's been doing more better lately is just defense. His defense has been really good, and his attack has been just pretty average. But he did a little bit better, in the game against Canberra. And Tuapiki, one of my favorite players. I've been shouting from the rooftops about him needing to be on, and he finally gets a break to get back on there, and just unlucky. And like you said, the outside backs can't catch a break. It's like the curse of the Warriors this year is that every outside back player gets injured. At least one gets injured per game, which is why I'm surprised. Why don't we have an outside back on the bench? Why haven't we learned from that? Because you've got like Freddie Lussick there, and again, no qualms with Freddie Lussick. I think he's a decent player, but I just think that they could probably do better with having an outside back that can cover some areas. Because there's not much to discuss about the game, isn't there? In terms of they were just ordinary, right? They didn't seem up to it, and then all of a sudden, just before halftime, the Warriors ignited something, got a try. Then they score in the second. They score pretty much straight away after the second half. And then when they let that soft try in, like the camera, we know that one where Roger just let it didn't really do anything with it. I think he thought it was going to roll over the line or something, or there was a bit of miscommunication with his winger or the centre. I can't remember who it was. The ball dropped in, and then Canberra jumped on it. So they let tries in that shouldn't have been a try. That shouldn't have been happened, and that's why the scoreline was so tight. But then straight after that, the Warriors are like, okay, we need to score now. We need to do something, and they do something different, and they did, and they scored. They pretty much went the whole length of the field and scored, and they scored. Anthony Blake. That was an amazing try, and as one thing that what they should do with Anthony Blake because he scored so many tries is they usually use them to a point where they get him into just a little bit of a gap, because if he gets in that gap, you back him to break the tackle, or if he doesn't break the tackle, at least his momentum will push him over. And I don't know why they haven't been doing that more lately, because he's just more been getting the ball and going straight up the middle. Where why don't you use him more in the gap where they used to do it, where they were getting a lot of tries. So they did it finally. He gets a try. So I'm really, really gobsmacked about how they don't do that more often. If he's a front rower, we'll swap him with a second rower just to take take that hit, or be the player that just runs a diverts the player so they can pass out the back. I don't know why they just don't do that with Anything Blake more often, but he did that, scored a try, and then basically the kick that would have kept it the golden point, very easy in front. Let's talk about that kick right now because it's a topic that's been circling around, Warriors fans and Warriors social media pages, etc.
Yeah, so he's a left foot kicker, so obviously not a strong side for starters. Yeah. I mean, he should have got it, but I mean, he's got a career goal kicking. Before this game, he had a career goal kicking percentage of over 80%, and that's only one of 20 people, I think, in NRL history who've had who've kicked over 50 goals. I think it is. So he's a pretty good kicker, and he must have been having an off day. Probably wasn't expecting it, so maybe he hadn't been doing as much practice as what he would have been doing otherwise if he knew he was going to be the first choice. He would have been the third choice. He's probably he is the fourth choice in the team. So I mean, as I said before, I would have put it to golden point, but I don't even know if we would have won. I'm not that confident we would have won a golden point. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not one of the ones who was on social media ripping them out. I know what you're going to say. I know you're going to say someone else should have taken the kick, but I don't think that would have been the right decision either.
I honestly, for example, I'm looking at
no one out. Who?
Well, there are players, for example, and I'll bring that up right now because, for example, that first kick conversion he had was from the sideline, right? And he hooked it really badly. And like I said, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying the game was lost because of him, because it wasn't. It wasn't. There was a lot of other factors in the game. But the first kick, when he hooked it, and I've never played professional or anything like that before, but when I played league and a club level and stuff, I kicked as well. And I know that if you hook it, if you naturally just kick it and you hook it, right, you've got to angle it somewhere else. But anyway, that's I'm not talking about goal kicking practice here. I'm just saying you can see how he just naturally hooks it. Just his natural way of kicking and following through, he hooks it, right? And like you said, I agree with you when he may have not just had practice because he wasn't expecting it. He wasn't expecting to be kicking at all, goal kicking anyway, at all. And so he was just just a bit rusty there. But because he hooked that one and then he hooked the second one, which is a lot more, was a bit more easier than that one from the sideline. My thinking, honestly, is if I had my coach's cap on, couch coach cap on, I'll be thinking you need a right foot kicker there to slot that one over, and that's just from looking back the physics of it all, and stuff. And you asked before who there are kickers in the team that could have done it. Like I think Tamari Martin's done it before, but I don't really know much about his stats or anything. But Kurt Capewell has done it before. He's kicked many goals. He's kicked many goals.
Many goals.
And yep, many goals. I read it somewhere. I can't remember. Maybe it was a lie, but he's cooked some goals. I should have Googled it before we started, but. There apparently, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are some players that could probably have done it, and even if Kurt Capewell has kicked some goals, at least I would have rather had him have a go at at kicking from that run that was sort of in front. So it was a bad miss, and I felt sorry because I was not one of the ones bagging him saying, "Oh, he lost," because it was disgusting some of the stuff that people were saying about him, and and a lot of the stuff that was they were just going on about him. Even there was some posts about Webster. I do not trust, and Webster I do not trust and stuff like that. And it's just some stupid stuff. And that's when who are the bandwagon fans. And a lot of the comments that were responding to those posts were saying, "Get off, get off. You're not a true fan." And this is why I've been ranting on all season, even last season, about Warriors fans. You don't know who you're gonna get on the day as well. Just like sometimes the Warriors, you don't know what team's gonna show up on the day. You don't know what fans are gonna show how the fans are gonna show up as well, because some of them are just flipping knobs. They're just knobs and saying the most stupidest things. And you would think that if you've got a brain, just a tennis ball sized brain, you would think that from all the stuff that happened to SJ and him coming out saying, I read these posts as well. You know, you guys are savage. How do you think he's going to feel? And I wanted to ask you, because you have worked in social media for quite a while as well, in various roles, in your career. Have you ever had have you ever had any experience, that kind of stuff, backlash and stuff from maybe a post you did or something you've done for a job, how did you feel? Because I mean, I just want to understand, I want to understand that feeling of how it feels, backlash feels.
Yeah, well, it's not quite the same because it's not as
big.
not as personal, and that it's not a personal attack on me. But just often, like, I used to work for the TAB and did social media for them, and we'd make all sorts of sort of top tens and team list predictions and all that. And just often you just get comments like, who's this fucking idiot who's put this together? They must have his brain the size of this, the size of a peanut. Just like comments like that. So as I say, like, it wasn't like I never took it to heart, because social media, you're gonna expect to get the odd plonker who's gonna say that sort of thing. So that's probably, it's just that sort of stuff. But it's just, that's the nature. Social media, it's such a powerful tool. But God, you feel for some of these guys, he's just taken a year off because he just wasn't sure. He kind of, he'd lost his love for the game, basically. And probably part of that probably would have been, stuff that he would have seen on social media in the past, and then to have this happen. And you saw it, you saw he went off, the cameras were on him, and he went straight off. And there was people even being like, I'm just questioning the character of the guy. He can't go shake hands with his opposite. It's like, no, well, but he's just
you know what happened, right?
He's just really hurt, and the cameras are on him in the changing room and all that. So, as far, it's as I said, it's a powerful tool, social media, but it can be a horrible place. And I've heard quite a few NRL players sort of speak up about it, and people, they're keyboard warriors. They're not thinking about what they say. And I think in the past, I don't think I'd ever say I was like that. I probably used to type some, get a bit fired up about some stuff, but these days I'll read through the comments and all that, and if something good happens, I'll leave positive comments. But I stay away from any sort of going negative, because it's not helping anyone, So if there is any of those haters out there, just and also, before I forget, John, Kate Bale has kicked 0 goals in his career. He's kicked 1 field goal.
That's not true. That's not true. It is not true. That is not true.
That's what Wikipedia said. So don't shoot the messenger.
Okay. All right. I'm sure I've read somewhere that he's kicked goals, but like I said as well, it could be wrong. But I've read it somewhere.
He's got a field goal, so maybe it was talking about that.
Well, we'll have to ask him himself. But
what's your take on the social media stuff, bro? Like, you got any stories?
Well, it's the thing, because it's. You can see how dejected he was. Like you said, the cameras were on him, and not just out on the field, but going into the sheds. Where I think the 940 team, or whatever they call themselves over there, they were following him into the sheds, and he just looked dejected. And you felt for the guy. And the last thing he needed was people to ridicule him and just erupt at him, calling him this and that. And there was one comment, and someone decided to shame the person. I'm not about shaming people, but there was one person that shamed someone on social media where he called him, it was a racist comment in there. And I think that person that did that also, realized, like, what have I done? I shouldn't have done that. I was just drunk and stuff. But this is what I mean. This is what I meant by when I said what I've been saying all season. Like, sometimes I get really, really fired up with Warriors fans, because some of them are just flipping idiots. Some of them are just idiots. And I'm going to say that they're just idiots. Some of them, they've jumped onto a good thing because Up the Wires, the brand, Up the Wires brand, the Warriors, they've produced a good thing to the point where I think they're pretty much going to sell out every game this season, which I predicted. And they're bringing the people in. They're bringing the people in. People are on social media. They're not only just supporting the team. People are going around getting tattoos of the Warriors, the Warriors logo on their on their legs or arms or back. They're doing this. They're making carvings. They're making things. People are doing all sorts of things because it's the Warriors' time right now. And
brand,
and I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it for all the support. But if you're gonna support them, and don't backlash when something goes wrong, because sometimes things are gonna go wrong, and that's where it's hard because, like you were saying before, it's not it hasn't been personal. But for me, I haven't really had anything like that as well because of the fact that I keep my social media pretty personal, pretty private. But in terms of what I have done as a journalist in the past, and have worked with you as well, I've written stories where not everyone's going to like your writing, and you put something out there, and people will make a comment about your story about this and say this was bad. I actually took that pretty personally. I did, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did take it very personally when someone did like my story. I had a lot of comments that were good about my stories, but there are some times when people said this, and that, and went really far. And it would actually keep me up at night thinking, what the heck? What do I do about this? How do I respond? And when your mind is consumed with that sort of time and that sort of energy, just wasting time about how to resolve this or this or this, it's just not good because it's not good, and it's not a good feeling. And so what I'm trying to say is that's just for me and my stories. But imagine him when he's personally seeing everyone attack him, like personally. Being racist as well. It's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. And I saw a video on I saw a video on the Warriors page. I didn't watch it properly, but it was Harris DeVita. I don't know what he said in it, but I just saw one part where I just saw the beginning of it where he said, like, I've had a lot of people around me, so it looks like he's standing strong. It looks like it. I could be wrong, but it looks like he's standing strong. And I'm backing him for the next game, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, and this is not me taking a quip at him, but probably have a lot of goal kicking practice this week, because that's another question to ask: who takes over the goal kicking? Because Pompey's out, Tuapicky's out. Who takes over the goal kicking duties? For Friday's game,
it has to be him, doesn't it? I don't think there's anyone else. I've just Wikipedia Tamara Martin also 0 goals in his career, so.
Okay. Yep.
So Kate Powell 0 goals apparently, and Tamara Martin. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, he's a good kicker. I mean, he's got before that game. I actually don't know what his stat is now, but before that game, he had over an 80% kick rate, which is I mean, it's Jonathan Thurston-esque as far as the percentage goes. Obviously, Thurston kicked a few extra kicks. Also liked a little, to hook it a little bit, but he would probably start it off in a better spot, and it would come around. So
he'll learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way that this team set up and sort of the culture that Andrew Webster's got, he at least would say, look, I imagine he'd say, look, I want you to be the kicker this week. And I mean, if it's not him, I mean, I don't think Roger has. I'm just sort of thinking elsewhere, whether like Cossey's been doing some work in the New South Wales Cup or something like that, or if like any of these new centres, or Dylan Walker, he's probably kicked in the past, maybe potentially, but I think Janelle, wasn't it? Like, would you rather see Tamari Martin have his first kick off the team?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Webster, because knowing the coach that he is and how he backs players, I wouldn't be surprised if Webster has sat down with Harris DeVita and said to him, "You got this. Just get back on the field, get up there, have some kicking practice. Tell me how you're feeling, and you got this." You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone and done that. Because it's just the kind of guy he is. I mean, I heard that once Origin was over, and Barnett and Capewell flew down to Canberra, he was there to pick them up personally. He picked them up both personally, and so basically that's awesome. Can you see? Yeah, so you see what I mean? Like, he's that kind of coach who still back you, and that's why they've been successful over the past season. This season, they've had a lot of bad luck. Injuries, everything. They've had a lot of bad luck, and not trying to make excuses, but it's true. You can't deny it. There's just a lot of bad luck, And
I was thinking before on the bad luck. I was like, oh, we're sort of getting back to full strength now. And then you look at the back line this week, you're like, oh no, wait a minute.
yeah, exactly.
We're not.
Exactly. And it goes back to my point about why aren't we bringing in a back, an outside back as a replacement rather than having Lussick there, because I know that he's there to back up. We all know that he's there to back up Wade Egan if he gets concussed, which has happened, regularly at times. But if that was to happen again, I wouldn't mind having, for example, having someone like Jazz. Jazz has done it before. I know he's playing more front row these days, but he's done it before. And
yeah,
I'm sure he could slot into it.
That was a few years ago. I think he's built a little bit different. He's built it a little bit differently now, and he's
but what I'm trying
distribution
to say,
game probably isn't there.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that if it came down to that, you have to change, because and it's a fair argument to have or discussion to have, because it's happened to the Warriors the last two games. They've had to shuffle the back line.
Well, what's going to happen. They're going to do that, and then Wade Egan's going to get knocked down in the 5th minute of the game, and then we're going to have Jazz Tavaga playing 75 minutes of hooker. Would you rather just shift Picanroa out each spot, or?
I'd rather have him doing that than not having an outside back there. I'd rather him doing that, and who was it? So let me go back to the team list, because the teams come out. Yeah, well, that. Actually, I was going to mention Capewell. He could probably do it as well, because he seems to be Mr. Versatile.
He has been. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Mr. Versatile.
Play hooker, you mean?
Yeah. But for example, if Jazz went into hooker, and then because he's playing front row, right? And then you have Halasima there playing front row, because he has had to move out of position as well. He hasn't really had a lot of time playing front row, which is what he's there for. But let's just go back to the game in Canberra before we move on. Do you want to just give us a roundup of just your thoughts as well, what things we need to improve on? Because there's a lot of things to improve on. And are there any other good takes that you take from that game?
Oh yeah, I mean, it just comes back to starting with the right mentality and not letting in 2 tries in the first 15 minutes, whatever it was. And then there was still a lot to like. I think there was some great, but apart from that sort of 10-15 minutes at the start, there was some brilliant performances. And apart from his kicking, I thought Harris Tavita actually had a brilliant game. He was kind of doing majority of the playmaking. With sort of that duo sort of him and Tamari Martin sort of kicked off with a hiss and a roar, but they've probably slowed down a little bit the last couple of days. But the last couple of games. But yeah, I thought apart from the kicks, I thought he had a great game. But yeah, we just need to. I don't know. It's just 80-minute game, and it's what's let us down so much this season. And being able to just ice some close games with 7. So round 1 against the Sharks, it was 16-12. Round 2 against the Storm, 30-26. Round 6 against Manly, 22 all, but we probably should have won that game. Round 8 against the Titans, 27-24. Round 9, we lost 14-8 to the Knights, I think it was. Round 18, Bulldogs 13-12, and then last week 20-18. So to have 7 games within 4 points, 6 points, it's gonna ultimately we're probably not going to make the 8 because of that. Now, do you still think we're going to finish 5th on the ladder, John?
I don't know about 5th, but because like I said, we're supposed to win against Canberra. For example, when we did, if you don't know what we're talking about right now, we did last week's show. We did top 8 predictions, or pretty much our 1 to 17. I went extensively and just went in and looked at other games as well, and thought who I thought would win this game. Got most of them right.
Too. I did too. I just did a quicker way than you.
I wasn't trying to say. I'm just trying to say that that's where I came up with my 5th of the spot, thinking that if the Warriors win every game until the end of the season, and the only game I thought that one that would be very tough to win was against Manly, because they're really tough to beat at home, aren't they? They're just really hard to beat at home. But other than that, I thought we could win. Like, you got Canberra. Also, you should be able to win that game. You got Tigers this week. Sorry. And I want to say easy beats, but I don't want to put that curse on the Warriors there. And then you got the Bulldogs as well. You got I think you got the Dolphins, I think, as well, or the Titans again. I can't remember. But the point is that they're all winnable games. That's what I'm trying to say. They're winnable games, and even Manly's a winnable game, but it'll be difficult. And with a bye, the last round of the regular season, and because the ladder's so congested, it'll all come down to also other results. And okay, I don't think fifth is going to happen now because they lost to the Raiders. I still think they have I'm always going to back them, and I'm not saying this just because I'm a proud Warriors man. I'm saying this because there's a mathematical chance. But if they don't win this weekend, what the heck?
A mathematical chance. I haven't heard that for a while.
Yeah, well, that is true, and it's true. But the thing is, come on. No. They have a chance.
Jim Carrey me. Do you think there's a chance?
Shut up. They've got a chance. They've still got a chance to do this, and I still believe it. And we'll see what happens. But ask me this question again. Ask me this question again after Friday night, after we play against the Tigers. Let's just go into the Wally M's. This is your segment, mate. So do you want to take it away from there?
For sure. Yeah. So for those of you who haven't listened to us before, we've got our own sort of version of the Daily M's, the Daily M's. We call them the Wally M's, which is based on Warriors games, and we just shout our 3, 2, 1 points respectively. Currently, Mitch Barnett's got a pretty big lead. I think he's on. I actually haven't got the spreadsheet up. Oh, maybe I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, Mitch Barnett's on about 30 points, and Fanua Blake's on about 23 in second. So it's probably going to be one of those two. And they both might feature this week because I thought they both had good games. So I'll start us off. I'm going to go Fanua Blake for my 3. Actually, we haven't even really talked about him yet, but he was immense, massive. Some big minutes, about 200 odd meters, 4 tackle breaks. Obviously, that huge try at the end to potentially draw it up. And just good to see him playing, putting up some big numbers and making it look like he's obviously here to see out the season and he wants to be there. So, shout out to him. It's awesome to see him playing good. And as you say, when him close to the line, they've got to use that crash play a little bit more. It has been very effective the last 2 or 3 seasons. 2 points to Rog. I thought he was great moving to fullback. Obviously he's been playing a lot in the centre, started on the wing and then went back to fullback when Tuapiki was out, and it's probably still his best position. And he sort of had moments where he just sort of put that step on and scored a try, ran for 255 metres. Team high 5 tackle breaks as well. So just to say, like, slipperiness, I thought he was great, and will be good to see him sort of get a full game there this week, hopefully. And I think we've only seen, I think it was only one game. I can't remember. Maybe it was the Knights game he played there, the first Knights game he played. But it'd be good to see him get hopefully a full game at fullback. We've just been practicing there and see how he sort of adjusts to that. And my one point I struggled with because there was about 4 or 5 players I sort of had circled, but it ended up being out of the 2 Origin representatives, and I went with the Queenslander, actually. I thought, Cape Vale was awesome. I thought Barnett was his usual self, but I thought Cape Vale was probably, because Cape Vale has been, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been as solid as Barnett. I feel like he really stood up in that game, especially showing his utility. So,
it's funny you say that because, like, look at this. Is it?
There you go.
I had exactly the same as you.
We got it right.
Yeah, finally, good minds think alike. I had Fanua Blake as well. I thought he was back to his best. AFB 3. I had RTS at 2. He looks more natural at fullback, doesn't he? I think that if he's not playing fullback, the best position for him is wing. He has more ball in hand, but as a winger, he's more ball in hand. Because the wingers are there, to take those runs as well. So I think those two positions he needs to play. I don't think the centre he hasn't seen a lot of ball at centre, so you don't see the magic that he can produce. But when he does have the ball, you see what he does and how many meters he tallies up. So yeah, no, RTS for 2 points for me, and I had Kurt Catewell as well because I just thought he had a pretty good game, and I would say the season hasn't been bad or anything. But he hasn't been like he hasn't been any kind of wow factor. But he's starting just to put on the performances that that's making you realize that he was a good signing. We need him. So I'm glad that, because we were talking about Origin, we thought we were hoping that Origin would sort of ignite a fire within him, and I think it's just done that. So hopefully, that'll continue. So yeah, those are my three. So yeah, so for Noel Blake, it's that's 6 points for him, isn't it? They might jolt him up there.
Yeah, it's a big. I feel like it was 31-23. Yeah, so I'm bother bringing it up. I'll keep everyone on the edge.
Yeah. Anyway, next thing to go to is the WAS team naming, and we're going to preview the Tigers game quickly. Do you have the team in front of you, mate?
I can get it. Yep.
Yep. I've got it here with me as well. But you want to go this week? Yep.
Yeah. So you got Roger at fullback, Gallen and Kossi on the wings, Ali Leatoa and Moala Graham Tolfa in the centres. So that's obviously two guys who have a couple of runs this year who've they've made the most of opportunities. So I'm excited to see how they go. Chanel and Tomato Martin back in the halves.
Yeah.
Basically our full strength forward pack with the exception of Phil Harris. So Fanua Blake, Wade Egan, Mike Barnett, captaining, Neil Corey, Catwell second row, Dylan Walker at lock, and then Lussick, Ford, Estevaga, and Leka Halasima on the bench. So I mean the best we can go, but there's definitely a few question marks in that back line. But we've talked a bit about Kossi in the past, and the last few times he's had a shot, it just kind of has seemed a little bit behind the eight ball. So probably my concern there. I mean, he's powerful guy, but I just wonder whether we had the Warrior Holoc on for an episode, and he sort of floated the idea of potentially using Kossi as a on the bench as sort of like a second row interchange player, which might be what he's more suited to. I think he just seems to struggle a bit under the high balls, and there's a few questions about his defensive reads. So hopefully, fortunately we're playing against. I don't want to be too cocky, but so fortunately we're playing against the Tigers this week, who haven't exactly been lighting the competition on fire, but they've had they've had a couple of wins this season, and the Warriors will know not to take them lightly because they'll be wanting to pick up every win they can. So I'm looking forward to seeing the two young guys in the centres as well, Ali Latio and Graham Moala Tolfa. Did I get it right?
Yep. No, I think you're spot on. I think we have a very stacked forward pack, which is awesome to see. It's just it's the back line where we seem to be having to chop and change a lot due to injuries. Not to anyone's fault or anything, it's just injuries, and it's just a part of the game. But unfortunately for the Warriors, it's just happening too regularly. And I think a lot of fans will love the fact that Roger's out there at fullback, playing in that position. I think when he scored his try against the Raiders, when he got the ball and just just went on the outside and just fended off who it was. It was the Raiders hooker. I forgot his name, and just fended him off and just threw him to the ground and stuff. And when with RTS, he puts he backs himself to go through because he's strong, and he doesn't stop to hesitate. He just goes forward, especially in an attacking motion like that. So that's why it'll be exciting to see what he does on Friday night. But I wanted to ask you one question because I'm usually a big fan of this player, but for me lately he hasn't been doing that much. A lot of errors, especially handling errors, and is Jackson Ford. Probably maybe a bit of a surprise for you to hear me say that, but
it is.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Jackson Ford, but I just think just of late he hasn't really been doing much, and he's made a lot of errors, handling errors. Would it be because he's there? He's been playing front row, and covering second row as well. Is there someone else that you maybe could think they could probably go there and give them a shot? Like for example, Dimitrik, Savakula, give him a go or something. Just to spark something up again. Maybe spark that youngster in them in the side that goes in there and wants to prove himself. It might not be a bad option.
Yeah, he's sort of just being used to, like he was obviously starting in the second row and they started in the front row for a bit, and now he's come for interchange. I just think the way that the team is and the culture of the team is that, like it's your position. And I don't think a player is going to be dropped for dropping the ball a couple of times. And I understand where you're coming from, but yeah, he's obviously an experienced player, and the last 2 years has been absolutely fantastic for the Warriors, I think. Yeah, maybe later in the season, if we lose a couple of games in the next few weeks, if we're properly out of contention, that could be an opportunity to give some guys a rest or give some guys a shot. But at the moment, I wouldn't expect to be seeing any rash decisions being made like that.
Fair enough. I did jump on this before about having a backline utility on the bench at the expense of Freddie Lussick. But how about this one? Because he's on the extended bench is Ben Farr. He predominantly plays in the halves for the New South Wales Cup team. What if you've got Ben Farr there who can play in the halves? I'm pretty sure could slot into the back line somewhere if need be. But then he could probably play hooker as well because he's a bit more. He's got that he's a bit more faster. He's a backline player or halves player. What about bringing Ben Farr into the side and replacing Freddie Lussick? What would your thoughts be on that? Because I think that's actually not a bad idea.
But to be honest with you, I haven't watched enough of his game to be able to make a sort of call about that. From everything, I've seen a few highlights here and there, and he looks like a super talented player. But I'm probably not qualified to talk on whether he's got the skills to cover like a hooker and play number 9 and for a first grade team.
One player that you'll be very surprised to people where people will be saying, "Oh, I can't believe he's not there." Like, "Oh, we need him there." Is Adam Pompey. A lot of hate that guy got, especially last season, from fans and stuff. Especially Warriors fans, was just unnecessary because he's. I wouldn't have picked him as my one of my first starting centers and went over Rocco. Etc. But he's done. I think he's done an exceptional job, and not only that, he tops it off. With what he's doing on the field. In terms of play the ball with the ball in the hand. Sorry, but he's also kicking really well. That's why he's been having the kicking duties especially when Sean Johnson was playing because he was just his Achilles was playing up. So Adam Pompey took over the kicking duties and he's done really well. Now that he's gone, people are like, "Oh no, not Pompey, not Pompey." Where are those people that were shouting out all those Pompey haters? You never thought you would hear people wanting Pompey on the field the way people were going about it last season. But I think shout out to Adam Pompey. He's done an amazing job. He's an amazing player, and he's proven himself. And I just think that we're going to miss him, to be honest, this Friday. So hopefully he recovers soon because he's one guy that if I was to pick a team, I'd want him in there, not just for his his ability in the air because he's been doing pretty well in the air as well, and catching the ball in the air as well and running the ball. Defensively, he's been good. He's been pretty sound as well, but he's also got a good kicking game, goal kicking game. So yeah, I think he's going to be he's a big loss to the team for this weekend. Thankfully, it's only the Tigers, but again, don't want to put that curse on. So. Don't want to take them too lightly, but yeah.
Pompey played every minute last season. I think people forget that, people can say what they want about him, but he was obviously a very integral part of that team, and he played his role very well, and he's a solid goal kicker. So hopefully I haven't actually checked how long he's out for. I don't think it was super long, but yeah, no, I'm not going to make any calls on that. But big game this week. Who are you kind of circling to bring it home for us? Who's your man of the match? Your way too early take for man of the match this weekend.
Oh, Harris DeVita.
Oh, yeah, big bounce back.
Big bounce back. Well, the thing is, like I said, he didn't do that much wrong. It's just people were just focusing on his goal kicking. He didn't do much wrong.
Yeah,
he didn't do much wrong. It was quite surprising to see Tamari Martin not take a lot of the kicking. I thought something must have been up. Like he must have some sort of niggle because they were going to Harris DeVita for the last set plays and last tackle plays, and he was doing a majority of the kicking. So I honestly thought something must have been up with Tamari Martin because that normally wouldn't happen. Not saying Harris DeVita can't kick, all like that, but it was pretty much like 80% of it, 80 to 90% of it was going to him. So I thought something was up with Tamari Martin. But anyway, you answer your question. Big bounce back from Harris DeVita in his goal kicking if he gets the goal kick because his game wasn't that bad in the first place. So I think people are just focusing on the goal kicking that he did, and they're judging his game from that. You know what I mean? They're judging his game solely on that, which is really unfair. Because he's an amazing player, and I'm hoping that I'm right this weekend because I hope he has a blinder and just shuts those haters up. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm hoping for. But look, we're running out of time here, so let's just go quickly into the tips. First game of the weekend. Oh, what do you know? Warriors Tigers. Just the game we're talking about. Friday at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.'s a bit nicer, eh?
Yep.
I can get behind that. Hopefully I won't fall asleep. Putting my daughter to sleep again.
Yep, fair enough.
Missed the whole game this week.
Yep, fair enough.
Warriors for me. 13 plus. Go on.
All right. I'm going to back you in that one. Say Warriors 13 plus as well. They're going to bounce back from this one. Eels Storm.
Yeah, give me some of that Melbourne Storm goodness.
Yep. And the Storm as well. I'm with the Storm as well. So yep. I think the Eels are just long gone. Yeah, they're just long gone. So yeah, Storm. With a good win against the Roosters as well.
Yeah,
they're looking pretty good. Yeah. Yep. Broncos Bulldogs. Broncos they lost 6 games in a row, but they came back in with a good win against Newcastle. Broncos Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Who have you got there?
I mean, if this game was a Bulldogs home game, I might be tempted to back them. But yeah, I'll go Broncos because I think that they look to be potentially back to their best. So
yeah, I'm a bit torn with this one because the Bulldogs are sitting on 24 points at 6th position. Broncos are on 11th position on 20 points. We're on 19. What team do you want to win to make it easier for us to go through? Is it easier for the Broncos to win and go to 22 and the Bulldogs to stay in 24? Which one? That's the question I'm thinking. So
Oh, you want the Bulldogs to from that perspective, you absolutely want the Bulldogs because we're not chasing them down, but we could chase the Broncos down. Manifest all those good feelings and back the doggies.
Yeah, I'm going to back the doggies for this one. I don't like them, flipping mutts they are. I'll back them in this one just for the sake of the Warriors' chance to get in the finals. I'll back them up there. All right. So after that, on Saturday 7:30 p.m., Cowboys versus the Sharks.
Oh, give me a piece of the Pretenders, please. The Sharkies.
I'm with you on that one solely for the same reason. They're on 28 points. I don't know how the heck they're on 28 points when they've lost a few games, but they still seem to be up there on third position. They're in third position.
They were flying. Yeah. They were top of the table for a while, John.
Yeah.
I think that last time these two teams played, the Sharks put like 40 on them or something. So that probably won't happen again. But I like the Sharks.
Yep, Sharks for me, just because the Cowboys are in 8th position and they're on 24 points. So I mean, I don't think we'll catch the Sharks, but we can catch the Cowboys. So I think I'm going to give it to the Sharks as well. And the final game for Saturday night, Roosters Sea Eagles. Roosters at home. Oh, I'm going to give it to the Roosters as well, just because I actually think they will win the game. but also because of the ladder. I'm going on the ladder here as well. Seagulls are on 25. The Seagulls are on 25 points. The Roosters are on 26. They were Roosters are on 4th position. Seagulls are 5th. So it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, I don't think we're chasing either of them down. But I don't think the Roosters will lose 2 in a row, and they got pretty spanked by the Storm on the weekend, so they'll be hurting from that.
Yeah, so I'm giving it to the Roosters just purely because I actually think they will win that game. Okay, so that'll be good. Okay, Dragons Panthers Sunday 4 p.m.
Yeah, penny peas all day.
Yep, Panthers as well. Dragons are on 9th position on 24 points, but so there are 4 teams sitting on 24 points. From Bulldogs who are 6th, Dolphins 7th, Cowboys 8th, Dragons 9th, all on 24 points. Points differential is what is separating them. So yeah, I mean, I'd pick the Panthers anyway, which is a good thing in this situation, this scenario. So I'm doing this as a Warriors fan, guys, if you're listening, because so we can catch up. I'm picking the Panthers. And who else we got next week? Dolphins versus the Titans on Sunday, 6:05 p.m. Who you got, mate?
I'm gonna go Titans this one. Yeah. I just think that Dolphins have been really good this year, but the Titans seem to they step up to these Queensland challenges. I think they beat the Bulldogs at Suncorp this year. I think they beat the Cowboys as well. So give me Titans.
Okay, well, I kind of want the Titans to win, but I think the Dolphins will win at home. And they'll go up to 26 points. So I'm giving it to the Dolphins. The last game for the round will be your beloved Raiders versus the Rabbitohs.
They went so beloved on the weekend.
Yeah, the Rabbitohs sitting on 12th position on 20 points, just 1 point ahead of the Warriors, whereas the Raiders are on 22 points on 10th position.
I can't believe that we're behind the Rabbitohs now. It's embarrassing.
It is, yeah.
I'll give them to my beloved Raiders.
Okay. I'm going to back the Rabbitohs to win. Yeah, I think
Raiders
the
Raiders. There'll be another terrible.
No matter where they play, they're crap.
Canberra.
Mate, you have to live in reality. No matter where they go, they're crap. It's just that's just Canberra. They're a good club in terms of history, but over the last decade, they've done really nothing. They haven't done much at all. So, and also the Knights have got a bye, so they get the lucky 2 points there. So those are tips for the weekend. Before we finish up, any closing remarks, mate?
Just hope to see a much improved performance from the boys. We want to see 80-minute performance and a comprehensive win in front of a sold-out Mount Smart Go Media Stadium. Up the wires.
Up the wires. Yep, I totally agree with you, mate. Just want to see a solid performance, and solid performance where they win, but they just don't leak in easy points like they did against the Raiders, because that was part of their downfall. They let in some easy points and made it hard for themselves against the Raiders, where and it made them have to go okay, we need to try something different here to score points, and which they did. But you don't want to get to that part, don't you? You just want to be able to play your game, go to your game plan, and make sure execute it well and defend well, and just leave it at that. But anyway, yep. So that's all we have for tonight, people. Thanks for everyone for joining us tonight for another episode of Couch Coaches. We appreciate the support. It continues to grow, but it can grow even more, and we can do that with your help if you subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify. What are the other channels, mate? I always forget this part. When we're doing this. Might as well I should be getting you to do this part of the segment, part of the episode.
Apple, iHeart, and just basically wherever you get your podcast, just search Couch Coaches, and hopefully we'll be one of the top 30 search results that come out.
Yep. Yeah, we are going to change that name at some point, aren't we? It needs to be done, unfortunately.
We'll do it next season. It's too far through the season now.
No, good call. Good call. Yeah, so everyone, just don't forget to like and subscribe and spread the word. And again, we appreciate your support. Have a good night and up the wires.
Up the wires, baby. Choo choo. We've got the